In this video, I'm going to go through the individual features or commands within the View menu. Now, the View menu is not a menu that contains commands that will change the image. It just changes the way that the image is displayed within the Pinta program. To start with, the first one on the top of the View menu is the Toolbar feature. Now, your Toolbar feature, here is your menu, here's your toolbar. So if you want to display the toolbar at the top, it is displayed by default. You can turn that off by unselecting the check next to toolbar. You can toggle it back on by clicking back to toolbar. So that's a very simple feature. It just is like a toggle switch. If you notice over here, there's no shortcut for the toolbar. You can disappear the make the toolbar disappear by selecting the View menu and selecting toolbar, and to bring it back, it just toggles. The next on the list is the pixel grid. Now, a lot of times if you're a new user to Pinta, when you click the pixel grid, you're expecting pixels to pop up on your screen. And you might look and you think, well, it's broken. Well, it's not. The way that Pinta works is your pixel grid is only viewable when you reach the 200% view or greater. So if I were to go over here and I were to increase my view to 200, you can now see the individual pixel grid because I have it selected. So the pixel grid, you actually see it. It looks like a graphing paper like when you were in your math class. Let's go to 300%. You can really see the pixel grid on your screen. To take that off, you go to View, Pixel Grid, and now it's a clear picture. So if I were to go and decrease my zoom back to like 100% or 50%, as you can see, the pixels are not present. So again, the only time your pixel grid is displayed is when you reach 200. Notice I'll go to 150. It's zoomed in, but it doesn't happen yet. When I reach the 200, that is the point where you now start to see the individual pixel grid on your screen. Now, with editing images, I don't really know if it's going to be as useful as if you were creating your own artwork with using the tools on the toolbar, because you could zoom really in and make connections from, like, copying. When you were learning to draw, you looked at an image, you put a grid over it, and you draw within the grid. That helped you draw, and you can do the very similar to that using your Pinta program. So let me go back and minimize. I'll drop it back down to 50%. So let me turn off my grid. The next thing is rulers. By default, you do not see a ruler at the top and the left-hand side of your Pinta program. But you can go into View and you can select ruler, and it displays a ruler at the top and it displays it on the left-hand side. By default, the numbers that you see on top and to the left-hand side are measuring your pixels. So as you can see here, it's over 2,000 pixels, not quite 2,250 pixels wide. And you can see that it goes down to over 1,250. It's probably around 1,280 pixels in height. You can change the rulers. And I know it jumps from here down here, but I'm going to show you your different units that you can change on your ruler. By default, it is adjusted to pixels. If you're in the United States or any other place that uses the custom as inches, you can change it to inches, and you can see that this is over 30 inches long, which if I try to print this out, it wouldn't print on an 8.5 by 11. It would try to create a poster unless I reduce the size of my image. So you can see this is a very large photo, and it looks like it's almost 20 inches, over 20 inches high. So it's a very large image. All right. A lot of people throughout the world uses the metric system. So if you convert it to centimeters, you can see that this is over 75 centimeters, not quite 79, not quite 78, in between that wide, and you can see how long it is. So you can change your rulers, your units, by go to ruler units, choosing pixels, inches, and centimeters. By default is that pixels, so I put it back to that, and I turn off my ruler feature. Next on it is zoom in. And for your zoom in, zoom out, normal size, best fit, and full screen, you might want to write those down and keep those handy while you're using Pinta, and eventually those will stick with you as you use it. These are the shortcut keys. Shortcut keys is probably the quickest way to zoom in and out of an image. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to click on the menu so that you can see what happens each time I click. Because if I was to use the shortcut keys, like I said in another video, the only way you're going to see those on your screen is if I have something each time I press the shortcut key, so it will display on the screen. So if I zoom in, Notice it's actually zooming in. It's like taking a magnifying glass and zooming in on the image. The shortcut key to do that is your control key along with your plus symbol on your keyboard. Now you can zoom out. That's like taking a magnifying glass or zooming away from it. You know, like if you're using a microscope and you're starting to back up on it, so you're zooming out. Or if you got a telescope looking at the moon or the stars, you're zooming out and things appear to move further. It appears that you're moving further away from the image. So you can zoom in on an image or zoom out on an image. Now your normal size, when I click on that, it makes it where you have to scroll. If you got a large image, it makes the image normal size to where it's almost like a pixel per dot on your screen. So if I have a better definition from normal on my website so that it makes sense. If you look up here, I go through and I explain each of these, zoom in and zoom out. Then I have what is called normal size. The normal size feature sets the zoom level to 100%. Each pixel on the screen matches up with one pixel in the active layer. And the shortcut key is Control plus the O on your keyboard. So what it does, you can see here, it made it to 100%. See on the toolbar, 100% zoom. So if I went back to like 125, if I go back to View, choose Normal, it's going to set it to 100%. The next one is my favorite, Best Fit. So when I click this, it fits your image on your screen so that you don't have a horizontal and vertical scroll bar. Here's your vertical, here's your horizontal. Unlike when I went to View and chose normal size, since it's a large picture, I have myself a vertical scroll bar and I still have myself a horizontal scroll bar. When you choose the Best Fit feature, you do not have either scroll bar. It's to fit the best on your screen. The next within your view menu is your full screen. Now, unlike your image viewer, like if I were to go to my picture folder, double click on it and say full screen, the image would go full screen and you would see nothing but the image. That's not going to exactly what happens when you click the full screen. When you click full screen, it makes your program go full screen. So that way, if you got a large toolbar, either above or below, it makes the program use up the full real estate of your screen. So I can go back to View, full screen again, and it toggles it back where you can see the toolbar at the bottom where you see my individual, my simple screen recorder, the program itself, my browser from my web page. You see my menus, the time, the system tray. So the View full screen doesn't take the image full screen, it takes the program full screen. So if you ever click on that, don't think it's broken, because the purpose of that is to make the program go full screen. And the last but not least is your tool windows. Now, what your tool windows are, your tools that you have available to you within the program, such as your tool palette, your color palette, your history window, your image windows, and your layers windows. If you want to turn those off, this works like a toggle switch as well. Each of those are turned on. So if I make my tools palette disappear, I click here, it's gone. If I go back to View, I can select the color palette, it's gone. I can go back and restore those, or I can take away my layers, I can take away my images, and I can take away my history. So now all I got is my image on the screen, and I still have all my commands through my menus. So that way I'm looking just at the image without all the tools within the window, within the program. I can go back to View and turn each of those back on individually. So I can go and click each individual one, and it brings them back one at a time. And here you can see it's back to the default settings. So the View menu, even though it's not a very powerful feature on editing your picture, it allows you to change the view of your picture where you can zoom in, out, change the appearance of your Pinta window to where you can use it to the best of your ability. So the View, like I said, with rulers and with the pixel grid, sometimes with rulers, if you just click rulers, you might not understand that, or you might not realize, since it's separated, that this is the units that goes along with your rulers. Or some people might click the pixel grid without knowing and think, well, it's not working. They don't know that it starts at 200%. Then the closer you zoom in, the better you see that grid on your image. So that's just a little overview of the features within your View menu. Hopefully this has helped you have a better understanding of the commands or features within the View menu if you are new to using Pinta. Or if you're just refreshing yourself, if you've used Pinta for a while and thought that some of these features were not working, hopefully this has given you a better understanding of those. I hope this video has been a great help to you, and have a great day.